Hello, my name is Maddie Kulig and I am the owner of Madalynne Intimates. In today's video series, we are going to be sewing the new Madalynne Simplicity pattern, the S9802. It is a super so cute teddy as well as a matching robe. Specifically in this video, we are going to be going over the pattern, what you should have cut out, and in the next video we will start sewing. But before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about Madalynne, that's myself, and what we offer here out of our studio. So we are a woman-owned, that's me, Philadelphia-based lingerie company offering DIY lingerie kits. So yes, there is a DIY kit for this pattern in our web shop, bra making workshops and online tutorials just like this one, as well as ready-made lingerie, aka lingerie that we sew for you. So if you have a sister, a friend, a mother who loves your me-made lingerie, but you don't want to sew it for her, and I don't blame you, we have a team of sewists who will sew it for you. Everything pretty much is made to order per your measurements. All right, so now I went through my whole spiel. One more thing I want to say is that I'm going to be going over slightly some pattern alterations, very slightly, but this video series will not be covering basics on how to sew. We have an intro to sewing lingerie course if you're interested in that, or specific fit alterations. If you're interested in getting into more specific or more advanced pattern alterations for the S9802, please reach out and schedule a virtual consultation with yours truly. All right, so let's get into the pattern, what you should have cut out, what materials to use, all that jazz. Now let's talk about the pattern pieces that you should have cut out for the 9802 teddy. You should have the front pattern piece number 7, the back pattern piece number 8, and the front band, which is pattern piece number 9. For pattern pieces number 7 and 8, which is the front and back, depending on what type of fabric that you'll use will determine whether you are using a lining or not. For this tutorial, we're using a really lightweight mesh, so we are going to line it with a soft stretch mesh. For the front band as well, since the front diagonal seam hits below the nipple, if you use a sheer mesh or a sheer lace like we are using, there could be some visible nipples, which is totally fine if you're just in your house. But if this is something that you want to wear out, let's just say you're making this as a beach cover-up or whatever, you might want to line it with something so that it doesn't have any nipple show through. The only other piece to cut out for the teddy is pattern piece number 10, which is the flounce. Again, depending on what type of fabric that you're using, you might have to line this fabric. We are using a lightweight mesh, so we are lining it with a stretch mesh, but on another DIY kit that we just did a thick lycra and we just kept it one layer. Let's move on to the robe. I have copied the patterns onto some pattern paper so they don't look like your pattern pieces that you got out of your envelope. I'm cutting it out of 100% gingham cotton. And this brings up a great point that I have received some questions about what fabrics to use. Can you use a non-stretch? Can you only use a stretch? For the teddy, I only suggest using a stretch fabric because to get it over your hips, if you have wider hips in relation to your waist, it might be hard to get on. If you don't, you might be okay with using a woven fabric or a non-stretch. But for the robe, the pattern was drafted for a stretch fabric, but because it's such a loose fit, you could definitely use a non-stretch fabric like a cotton. What's great is this would make a great beach cover-up. I'm sure you have tons of cottons in your stash. So I have the front robe cut 2 pieces, and then the back robe cut 1 piece on the fold. The last fabric to cut out for the 9802 robe are the lace panels. Again, I have transferred the patterns to tracing paper so they don't look the same as the paper that comes out of the pattern envelope. For the sleeve as well as the front lace panels, they will be cut in 2 pieces. And then the back lace panel is cut 1, but it is cut on the folds. The only thing that is not shown for the cutting is the tie waistband. And that is because you can make it out of self fabric, or a much easier route would be to use like a grosgrain ribbon or some type of ribbon that you could buy or purchase at a craft store. So I will leave it up to you if you want to make it out of self fabric. Maybe you want to make it out of the lace, you can do that, or you can buy a pre-made rope, ribbon, or whatnot. The only pattern alteration I want to go over for the S9802 is with a bodysuit. One of the common complaints or concerns or things people bring up is, I'm too short-waisted, I'm too long-waisted, bodysuits never fit me. So let's just say you need to lengthen or reduce the length of the teddy. It is a pretty easy fit, so I would suggest making one and then seeing if you need to add it from there. But let's say you have a super long torso and you're like, it'll never fit me, I'm like 6'7", not gonna happen. What you will do is, it's what's called a slash and open method. Do a Google search, because I'm not gonna get into heavy pattern alterations, but it's a pretty common pattern alteration. You are going to slash through the bodice and lengthen it and add length here. You don't want to add it through the leg, you don't want to add it through the armhole, you want to make sure that it's right through the torso. And you're going to add the length that you want. But when you do that, you're also going to want to do it to the back too. So wherever you slashed and open on the front, you will lay the back over and make sure that you slash and open the same amount on the back piece.